Hey friend, welcome to the Self-Care Isn't Selfish podcast. I'm your host, Emily Nichols. I'm a self-care coach who is on a mission to help you get your body and mind fit through simple and sustainable self-care habits. And I get it. I'm a busy working boy mom who used to feel like a hot mess all the time until I found a solution, my own self-care routine. And friend, I want that for you too. Join us each week to hear attainable self-care tips for all areas of your life from my amazing guests or Quickie episodes with me, sharing my own experiences and professional wellness knowledge. After each episode, you'll leave with an action plan to start making self-care a priority in your life and get your body and mind fit. So grab a cup of coffee, glass of wine, or your favorite sparkling water, and let's do this. You're listening to episode 71 of the Self-Care Isn't Selfish podcast. Welcome back, friend. I'm so glad you're here. We are going to continue the conversation from last week's episode with Kim Barnes-Jefferson. We were talking last week about how to make new habits stick. Well, this week we're going to talk about what to do when new habits fade, and I'm going to share my own personal experiences with you. But before we do, this is a week of Thanksgiving, of gratitude. And although I know Thanksgiving looks very different this year for a lot of folks, I wanted to send you lots of love and show you that I am grateful. So grateful for you listening to the show each week and for the feedback you all are giving me. I'm so grateful for the community over on Facebook. If you'd like to join us, there's a link in the show notes. And just, seeing how we're all just in this together right now more so than anything. And I really want you to focus on what you actually are grateful for this time of year. I know it can get really easy to get caught up in negativity, but there's no room for that in your mind. Tell yourself that. There's no room for negativity in my mind. There's only room for positivity and gratitude. So think about that as you move forward into this week of Thanksgiving. So let's get into today's show. It's just a self-care quickie tip. I know you're busy this week getting ready for Thanksgiving and hopefully taking some time off of work. I want to talk about what happens when habits fade away. This is continuing the conversation, like I said, from last week, and it just really got me thinking of some new habits that I have started this year that have gone away, okay? They're long gone, and just evaluating why they are not existing anymore, if I want to bring them back or not. I wanted to kind of go through this process with you as well. We'll talk about this more Thursday. Actually, not Thursday because it's Thanksgiving. We'll talk about it later this week, probably Friday, in my free Facebook community. Again, link in the show notes. But we'll talk a little bit further, and I'll give you some more cueing on what to do when new habits fade. I could geek out all day long talking about habits because it's really the base and the framework for how you form a self-care routine. And, we start so many new habits with the best of intentions. Our motivation is so high. But habits are what get you into that mode, that self-care routine where you don't even need to think about these activities anymore, where they're just so ingrained in you that you don't even need to think about it. It's like brushing your teeth, right? So today I'm going to share 7 questions to ask yourself if a new habit has faded away. Okay. And like I said, this all stemmed from a couple of new habits that I've started this year that I actually really, really enjoyed have faded away. I haven't been doing them at all over the past month. So every day I walk every day. I've talked about it on the podcast and just how magical it's been just getting outside and listening to a podcast. And it's just like a 30-minute walk all to myself and how lovely it's been. And also I started drinking a gallon of water every day. I just didn't feel like I was hydrating enough. And I set this real big lofty goal for myself. Well, I stopped doing that. And lastly, my cold shower experiment from July. Yeah, I haven't taken a cold shower in like a month. All 3 habits have faded away. Why? Because I'm human. Because I'm human and life happens. And these are brand new habits. They're not quite as ingrained in me as working out is yet, okay? And these are 3 habits that I really wanted to incorporate into my daily self-care routine, but they faded away. So what can we do about this when that happens? So let's dig into these 7 questions you can ask yourself when these new habits fade away. And I'll kind of give you some references back to these habits of my own. So number 1, ask yourself why. Why did these new habits fade away? And why were these habits important to you? Okay? Why? Just start with there. We always start with why. Number 2, did your cue change? So we can dig into this more in our Facebook group, but I always like to have some type of cue, some type of thing I can see, or a mental cue that lets me know it's time to start this habit. Okay? So, for example, with my cold showers, I always set a towel out the night before, and I always chose a song the night before in bed that I wanted to listen to while I took my cold shower. Well, I stopped doing both of those tasks, and my cue was gone. Okay? So, think about if you had a cue set up for a new habit, and if that cue went away. Okay? It could be something super small, but something tweaked like that goes away can make a big difference. Number 3, did something change in your schedule? Okay? Did something change in your schedule? So for me, taking my walks outside every day, I didn't really have a set schedule for it, in all honesty. I just didn't do it because I just was like, okay, whenever I get my work done for the day. Well, the work is never done, right? So I needed to actually schedule the time. But also, the weather was huge for me. The weather is huge because it's gotten really cold here in Indiana. And I was like, yeah, I can just bundle up for walks, no big deal. But I got really cozy at home, and I usually work with holding on to a heating pad, and I just didn't want to go for a walk. So I wasn't scheduling them like I should have. I was just really loosey-goosey with when I would go take my walk, and the weather changed, so that wasn't helping me at all either. So habit stacking. Okay, we've talked about this before. So habit stacking is when you have a habit that you already have ingrained and you stack a new habit on top of it. Okay? So this was something that I really wasn't doing a good job of before with these. You know, with my cold shower, it was usually I got up and that was like the first thing I did was start my cold shower. And then I would go start the coffee pot, get my workout in and whatnot. I needed to stack that on top of something other than just getting up and going straight to the cold shower. So an example of habit stacking is, so when I make my coffee every morning, okay, that is something I do without fail. I do that every single morning because I love my coffee. I love the ritual of making it. I love frothing up my nut pods. I love stirring it together. I love that first drink. Oh, so good. But I always take my vitamins as my coffee's brewing. I always do. I've stacked the new habit of taking my vitamins on top of taking my coffee because it's something I do without fail. So think of something that you can stack a habit onto that you already do every day without failure. Okay? Number 5, it's not convenient anymore. Okay? You have to make this simple and easy on yourself when you're doing a new habit. So, for example, drinking my gallon of water. I bought a gallon water jug, and the big bottle of water was so daunting. I would fill it up every morning, and as it would fill up and I'd carry it around when I first filled it up, and it was so heavy and such a pain in the butt lugging around the house, or if I was leaving, I was taking it with me. It was not convenient. And just watching the water slowly go down the jug was not motivating for me enough at all. So what I did was I've changed it up. I got a couple of half-gallon jugs instead. They're a little bit easier to hold, to transport. They're fun. They're cute. I made it fun and cute because it makes it just so much more enjoyable. I got this cute little leopard covered for it. I'll have to show it to you. You guys will love it over on Instagram. But it wasn't convenient for me anymore carrying that gallon jug anymore, so I just turned it to a half-gallon jug. And that worked instead. So just a simple switch. I just didn't totally abandon ship on that new habit. Number 6, ask yourself, well, why not just start it again? Or maybe not. Okay, so sit down and list out the benefits of how it made you feel doing this new habit. If you're like, you know what, I don't think it was really doing anything for me, you gave it enough time, it just wasn't worth it, then stop. You stopped already. You don't have to return to it if that was not a habit serving you. Okay. However, if you feel like, maybe I should have gave it more time, or I needed to do a different time of day, or schedule it, or stack it on top of another habit, you can use some of these strategies that I already listed today. But really think about the benefits to these new habits you were trying to establish, and remember why you were doing it, what we talked about in number 1 tip. And number 7, give yourself grace. So self-care is always evolving. It's always evolving. I have been on this journey for 5 years, and I'll never get off of this journey because my life is always changing. My schedule changes. My life changes as my children get older, as well as my job and responsibilities change as a working mom. Give yourself some grace. Sometimes you got to flip things around, and that's okay. And it's going to take some time to adjust, but just give yourself some time and grace if a new habit fades, and follow these tips that I gave you today. I gave you a lot of really great strategies to get back into that habit when that habit has faded away. But sometimes that habit may not be serving you anymore, and that's okay. Bless and release, and let's move on. Okay? Awesome. So gang, this is the level of coaching I do with my personal training clients. I have some exciting announcements coming over the next couple of months. We're going into December and into a new year, and I have you at the top of my mind how I can best serve you. And I'll be sharing some testimonials from my recent personal training clients with you all soon, because I'm not your typical personal trainer. I really see movement as a way to be joyful and as a way to, take care of yourself. It's a form of self-love and self-care, in my opinion, not punishment. And it's all about habits. It really, really is. And when you're thinking about working out and personal training, it's so much more than the workouts. And I think a lot of trainers miss that. It's more about the mindset shifts and the power you feel in your mind now, right? That power of positivity and just solid in your self-care routine. And that working out is just giving you so many other benefits other than just the physical, which is also great as well. But the other things outweigh it, in my opinion. So make sure you check out my website. There's a link in the show notes. You can sign up for my newsletter to be the first to hear about some new services I'll be offering at the end of this year and into the new year. But also, come join us over in my free Facebook group. We'll be sharing more each week, a lot of funny memes and a lot of action when it comes to your self-care routine. But gang, give me a follow over on Instagram at EmilyNichols22. And if you love today's show, please leave a rating and review. I would so appreciate that. Again, have a wonderful Thanksgiving this week. No matter what your holiday looks like, it may not look the same as it always has. But be grateful, be grateful, be grateful anyways. Sending you all lots of love. I hope you take today's show to heart. And remember, self-care isn't selfish. Bye, y'all.